gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi guys. Oh, I gotta go get the TV. It just came on, and I'm cold. I left 75-degree weather, and I came back to 0 Fahrenheit. I was cold down there at 65 whenever we first arrived. But let me go get rid of this. I don't know why it just turned on, but let me fix it. Alrighty. Ooh-wee. I can say that I might have turned up the heat a few times, but it it's getting. I'm starting to get climatized back to being cold again, but it is what it is, and um, we've got Mr. Jim here. It was such a pleasure to get to sit down and chit chat with Mr. Jim for the entire afternoon and have a meal. Oh my God, I've never had a burger that size in my life. Whew. I honestly did not. I had 2 bags of chips on the way home on the plane. The burger had to be that size and about that thick. It was massive. And burger and sweet potato fries. It was good. It was good. Oh, Mr. Jim, clean out the spare room. I'm on my way. 88 degrees. Oh, hey. Well, now the perfect weather was Jamaica. But I'll get into all that as we go on an adventure today about, what transpired. So, whenever we showed up, Lillian thought she was going to be smart. They, of course, had a wheelchair ready for me. And the, the girl that was pushing me pushed me, and then Lillian and Debbie hugged and whatever. And, they thought I didn't know. But what I had seen, I could have swore I saw Lillian out of the corner of my eye. They tried to trick me, but you got to get up pretty early in the morning to trick this big old fella. So my goodness, Friday night, we were late leaving Ogdensburg because they were late leaving. So the way that Breeze doesn't like to let their planes sit. So it's they just keep rolling. So that day it leaves like Boston, goes down to Orlando, and then goes over to somewhere down there. And then at 2 o'clock picks up the Ogdensburg Monday and Fridays. Picks up Ogdensburg, flies up to Ogdensburg, drops, picks up Orlando and Ogdensburg and flies back to Orlando, and then they shut down for the night. I tell you what, guys, Breeze Airlines, cheap, brand new planes, top of the notch planes. They're not huge planes, but they're not like hang on to your rectum doesn't have to grab the seat because of the shaking. Um, we hit a wee bit of turbulence coming over South Carolina into Georgia. But that really was about it. We were flying. I did a short. I said hello to Miss Ann as we were flying over Miss Ann's house. And just before we hit Mr. Jim's house, we kind of veered off over closer to Tampa and then down south of Kissimmee and did the loop and come in to Orlando that way. But Smiles, we were trying to push to get out of Ogdensburg as fast as we could because there was a pretty big snowstorm happening. And if we didn't get out in the next half hour, we were going to be snowed in. So everybody was, the flight attendants, the pilots, they were a bit on edge because they were being rushed and they don't like to rush. Obviously, that's when poop happens. But I got to say, they're very professional. The captain was a Air Force pilot, and he was training the younger, I guess it's first captain or first mate, or I don't know what the hell they call the second in command up top. And but I gotta say, it's the only we've traveled quite a bit. Um, we traveled quite a bit, and this is by far the best airlines we've ever flown with. Um, I really wish YouTube could go through and get rid of the bad publicity that we've seen on YouTube. Um, I took different shots of the plane and whatever. Um, and I will be doing a video. It's going to take me quite a while. I'm not very good at the editing, but Breeze Airlines deserves to have very good reviews. Um, the snacks were top notch, free for us because we were flying first class. We saved over $2,000 flying with Breeze. Brand new planes. Actually, the one that we took going down to Orlando was 4 years old, but very, very good shape. Usually, you get onto a plane, and we were sitting in the front seats. A and C, I think, is the way they word it. Sorry, guys, I have the traveler sniffles. Um, there's usually scuff marks on the wall from people's feet. Nothing. There was unlimited places to charge your social media stuff. I had my phone plugged in, I had my earbuds plugged in. Debbie had her iPad plugged in. Um, amazing, 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 amazing. Um, and the price. Every single time. How they, before they take off, the pilot personally comes, takes the microphone, and addresses the cabin. I've never had another airline do that. And it wasn't just a welcome, blah, blah, blah. He actually got into, discussions, little deeper discussions than I do believe some people can handle. Some people don't like to fly, so they get on a plane and they want to just shut their, nobody go in their personal space. They won't leave their personal space, and they try to ignore everything. Like he was telling, roughly what speeds we were going to be doing, the altitudes. Um, he said we should come right out of um, should come right out of the clouds within 30 minutes to an hour. Um, like he gave us detailed information. And, he came on the radio. He was still up front. He said, folks, unfortunately, it's going to smell in the cabin. He said, I have to turn off all ventilation for them to spray down the plane, de ice it. And the de icing agent stinks. Well, it was that bad, they had to de ice us twice. Um, but, anyways, we got out without an issue. We got ourselves up into the air. And like I said, by the time we hit, for some reason, we came out of Ogdensburg, headed towards Pittsburgh, and then cut it back. Anyways, it was apparently the fastest way to get us to Orlando. It was to be a 3 hour and 20-minute flight. He had us on the ground in Orlando in under 3 hours. So, Lord knows, we were booking it. We were to be doing 516 mile an hour. He was averaging 569 miles an hour. And we were bouncing between 32 to 34,000 feet. But yeah. And so again, if you guys ever hear of Breeze Airlines, where you're going, or don't second guess it, book them. Now, it is a little different, but how they save a lot of money is everything is done through the computer. You never talk to a real life person until you get to the airport. I was a little on edge about that. But having done it once, not an issue. To save over $2,000, it's well worth it. And it's not like you don't get information. Oh my goodness. I guess they shut down the government again. So TSA, there could have been an issue with TSA with us leaving on Monday. So Breeze emailed me, emailed Debbie, texted Debbie to be to the airport as soon as we could to get through security. They anticipated a very, very long line getting through security. Nothing. Talking to a TSA agent, they were all still there because they were getting paid for Monday. And Monday being a holiday, they didn't want to lose the extra pay right now with the government shutting down um, TSA agents and air traffic controllers, and which put me kind of on a edge that, you know, I don't think I'd be misspeaking to see what happened the last time with the accident. Two of them, one very close to my sister's, and one very close to DC. There's two. So I was a little on edge, but again, top notch, top notch airplanes. Hey, Lynn, how are you doing? Nice to see you. um, we did run into issues with the cruise. Actually, I'm jumping out of turn, really. So Lillian picked us up at the airport. God bless her soul. It was quite late. I guess by the time we got our luggage, it was pretty close to 10 o'clock, and we were an hour away from where we were staying that night. And, anyways, she was a trooper. It was so nice just to sit down and catch up with Lillian, and, um, yeah, to hear her stuff, and and again, um, it's only been since September that really we've become very, very close to Lillian, but it's like we've known her our entire life. She she is salt of the earth. Amazing, amazing. So it turns out that her daughter lives 15 minutes from where we were staying near Cape Canaveral. So, Shade Tree Cook, good day, sir. How are you? Um, yeah, it was we had a good night. We were pretty hungry because the we ate at noon and it was midnight, and we had bag of a bag of chips on the way down. That's I and it's our own fault. We could have ordered food, but I it was you could have it was really good. They had meat, cheese, and crackers. Because we were first class, everything on the menu is 50%. Snacks and whatever were free of charge. Let's see here. And then there was a cheese, brie cheese, and apple, and it sounded very good too. Um, but we actually wanted some substance, so like something pretty good to eat. And yeah, we other than that, Lillian dropped us off at the hotel. Um, I will look up the hotel and say it tomorrow night. never stay at this place. It's that bad that I've been talking to Choice about dropping it. There was mold on the floor. Debbie was sick the entire time of the cruise because, well, she was healthier than a horse whenever we left. Even whenever Lillian picked us up, she was. But the next day, it was the Friday night. Yeah, Friday night that she got. I had dropped the pocket full of change or whatever. And she was right there. And of course, she didn't want me with my neck having to go underneath the counter. And she came up and her hands were black mold. Needless to say, she was sick the entire cruise. And you spend that kind of money, I felt horrible that she felt horrible. And of course, she kept getting better and better and better as the cruise went on. And she's pretty much back to herself now. Tell me that's not mold. And my ducks were a huge hit. I hid ducks all around the ship, as you can see the thumbnail. It was a duck, and then I had extra stickers. I'm like, I'm going to put stickers on here. So I put my Rambling with the Brooms on one side and my Travel Escapes with the Brooms on the other side. So there was I'd say maybe 6 I gave to little kids. This one poor little sweetheart, she was having a meltdown. And she didn't want to go and have a nap. Well, Mom said that she was having a nap. Well, she was hell-bent she wasn't going to have a nap. Well, her and her ducky went and had a nap. So it was fun being able to bless. And then I hid them in the casino machine, like in the slot machines, and I hid them in the elevators. And where else did I hid them in the dining areas. I put them on the door of my room where we stayed. That was a lot of fun. You could hear people, oh, look, there's ducks on the door. I wonder if they want us to take them. Oh, they wouldn't leave ducks on the door if they didn't want us to take them. You could hear everybody outside. And I was just sitting there chuckling, laying in bed or sitting on the couch. And yeah. Now, we did try a new thing. We've always cruised with a balcony. Well, I use the balcony every day. Debbie wasn't so much. And I'm like, well, why don't we try an ocean view and see what we think of that? So the accessible room with the balcony's bigger than a normal. Well, the accessible room with ocean view is massive. Like, I could have sat there with the scooter that we had rented and had scooter races in the room. It's that big. No joke. Actually, there was once I was playing around in the room. I was waiting for Debbie to do her, I don't know, she was doing makeup before we went out or something. I'd drive up to the bathroom, say hi. I'd back up to where I was charging it and keep going back and forth. And then I'd go around. I'd look out the window. But yeah, this is the first cruise out of all our cruises that we did run into issues. Unfortunately, there was a family that lost a family member. He passed away on the dock um, at whatever the private island is. Collapsed. They couldn't bring him back. So, it's, and I know I sound horrible whenever I say it, but we had booked this for the Jamaica part because I was hoping that somehow, some way, I'd be able to meet Corinne and Marvin in Jamaica, even if I had to rent a taxi. I was willing to do it. But they have a miniature morgue on the boat, on the ship. Well, they have to get rid of the body at the first port that accepts bodies. So we were 8 hours out of way to drop the body off at NASA in the Bahamas. Well, our next day was Jamaica. So our Jamaica day went from 12 hours to 3 hours. We couldn't do anything in Jamaica off the port. And there's really nothing left of the port. Because it was the one that took the brunt of the last hurricane. And there's still tarps covering homes. Debbie talked to one lady on the bus because you got to take a bus from where the ship docks to where they have like little huts or whatever. And this lady, to make extra money, does, how the Jamaican ladies tie their hair so tight. Anyways, that's what she does for extra money. She had a 4-bedroom home gone. She said that they're just blessed beyond that the Lord spared their family, took their home, and they're having to sleep on people's couches right now because they don't have insurance for hurricanes in Jamaica. The government helps a little bit. So I went and, well, I bought myself a Jamaican shirt. Oh, it's underneath my white shirt. I got 3 layers on right now. And it says, yeah, man. I wasn't going to buy it, but the lady's like, we want you to get that out there. That's our people know, our Jamaican men. That's what they say. So she said, yes, we want you to wear it and say it. And I looked at Debbie and she looked at me and she's like, well, you've got the ladies told you. So I said, all right. So I overpaid on shirts, but to be able to help maybe, you know, get these people into homes faster. It was worth paying an extra $10. I tried to haggle and she was like, I don't have a home. I'm like, you win. Here you go. I think I gave her $5 extra, which in Jamaica is a lot of money right now. But they went from a huge, huge waterfront to there was a couple t-shirt places, a hair place, jerk chicken. There was, maybe 10 huts. That's it. The rest, there's nowhere for them to be. And then, yeah, Grand Cayman. Oh, is that ever beautiful? And I said, so, because we did an excursion. And I said, I've got a question. I said, what's the work here? The guy looked at me. He said, you mean to say you don't have any money in offshore accounts? Like, no. He's like, banking is number one, lawyers are number two. A condo, Ocean View condo, starts out at 1.25 million. It's either a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom condo. I'm not sure. But once you get into where the blue collar workers live, their homes are a little bit smaller than, say, here, but they range anywhere from 250 to 500. That's pretty good. Now, being, offshore accounts and a lot of money going here and there, the blue collared workers don't make a whole lot of money over there. Minimum wage, I think he said, was between $5 and $7 an hour. He survives off tips. And there was 4 of us out of our tour that tipped him. The rest walked away. And it's like, wow. Like, what's $5? It's nothing. But anyways, teach their own. But yeah. The plane was awesome. Meeting Lillian. And I've got a ton of video from the Kennedy Space Center. I'll put that out probably this weekend. And we got to see stuff that people don't get to see. Unfortunately, they canceled the liftoff that I wanted to see. They canceled due to a hydrogen leak. Well, that could go. So good call. But I learned a lot of stuff while I was there. So the rockets fire them up to the moon, and they need the Earth's pull to circle the moon and pull them back to Earth. And the next time that's going to happen is March the 3rd. Hey, Jess. Um, so right now, it just that large rocket, um, the engineers were able to fix the hydrogen leak within hours, but it was out of um, the time restraints that it needed to start the countdown and whatever. It was actually the hydrogen leak was caught on the wet. They call it, I guess there's a dry um they go through like a dry one, just steps. Wet is more in depth where they'll shoot off a little bit of the rocket fuel just to make sure that everything's going well. That's where they caught the hydrogen leak. And then they couldn't get it fixed fast enough to go that day. And with the Earth's pull weakening for the next month, they had to cancel now until I think it's either March 3rd or 4th is the next time they can shoot the rocket. But these land crawlers, holy God, you could fit probably 3, 4, 5 of my houses on top of this rock crawler. And it does 1 mile an hour. So it takes them 8 hours to move it, or it took them 8 hours to move to where it sits right now. But it's just, yeah, amazing. So we got to see that. And again, just spending the entire day with Lillian and laughing and joking, and it was a lot of fun. But the first time that we've ran into medical issues on the ship, there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to ride it out and praise the Lord it wasn't you. And like I said, well, it was a gentleman. He's deceased. They can't just leave him behind. They got to bring him to the closest port. So yeah, that put us 8 hours out of. So it took 8 hours out of our Jamaica day. So anybody with excursions in Jamaica, we couldn't do anything. So everybody got their money back. Even though we were only there very, very, actually, most people didn't even get off the ship. We got off because we could see one of our ships, HMC Yellowknife, one of our little destroyers, was parked on the same dock that we were at. So we wanted to get off and, take some pictures and thank the guys and gals, and yeah, it was neat seeing one of our wee little warships out of sitting in Jamaica. And it's funny how some of the places are stereotyped. Like, you always hear of, Jamaica, there's the smell of marijuana everywhere. No, there wasn't. It smelled like salt air. But next year's will probably be out of Galveston if the ship stays in Gavel. Yeah, if the ship stays down in Texas, then we'll be headed down to Galveston. If not, God only knows where we're going to be out of. The comedians were eh. The one older fella from Ohio, he was pretty funny. He was doing the family show. Then there was an East Indian fella from gonna say South Carolina, maybe. I found him just very crude. It was there was nothing funny, and there was other East Indian people in the crowd, and he based his whole skit like about them, and they were very not taken back, but we had chit chatted on the boat, and one was a lawyer, one was a doctor, one was a dentist, like very professional family. And yeah, I don't think they really appreciated being the butt of his jokes. Um, Other than that, like don't get me wrong, there were some funny parts, but he got a lot of it was crude, and if the crowd didn't laugh, he's like, hey, it's a joke. Okay. Anyways, um, the ship, we didn't like it. A lot of the staff members don't like it. It's very narrow, cut up, um, very close quarters. Um, for a newer ship, we thought it would be more open, like the Encore we were on. Um, you know, like don't get me wrong, we love NCL, and it's just the ship. But apparently they've changed shipyards, so it should be back to the bigger style of like, or not the bigger style of ships, but the more open ships. Um, let's face it, cruisers. I don't think I could be called stereotyping, but cruisers aren't the smallest individuals on the earth. And yeah, so uh, casino, it was all right. I guess I was down about 500. Yeah, I was down about 500. And then day 3 through 7 were good. I broke even for the entire week. I guess day 5 I hit a 1500. That was my biggest. 1559, I think, was my biggest hit. And I was just, Debbie was over in a section and I hadn't seen her in a while. So I just kind of ventured over and we were chit chatting over there. And I said, oh, I'll throw. I'll throw $100 in the machine and we'll see what happens. If it's not hitting after 50, I'll pull out. Bang, bang, bang. Like I said, I hit 1500 there. I hit a couple 300s, couple 400s, couple 500s. So I pretty much played for free. And of course, whenever I hit a big one, it was funny. It seemed like half of it went gone. Hmm. It had just disappeared like that. Uh, all that I know is I'd go up to the cash it out, and because then that way it lasts you a little, or I find it lasts me a little longer than those chits. Because I had a chit for 1600 because there was the money before plus the 1569. So yeah, just over the 1600. Well, keep putting that in. That machine's reading you have $1,600. It ain't gonna hit. But again, like Jesse and I were talking, if you're going to be on a cruise ship, Buffalo's hit. That's where I kept hitting my little ones. And then I forget the one where Debbie was always lucky at this group of machines. And Jesse probably knows what I mean. The piggy. The piggy, he gets bigger with the amount of money that's put in. A lot of people don't know that. So they get angry. They feed it like $100, $200. Well, he's ready to burst. They leave. Over, you throw $20 in, he blows up, and the minimum you take out of there is $100 or $200. So, other than that, and then yeah, we had out of Grand Cayman. There was an issue. The ambulance was sitting on the dock waiting for us to pull up. And there was a lady that they rushed to the hospital. We don't know what happened after that, but that didn't slow down or prolong us any. Cozumel, that was, one thing that we weren't too, like, the shows in the encore were phenomenal. These shows, nah, they didn't hit it. There might have been, and maybe it's just the group of dancers that they had on the ship. Like, don't get me wrong, I couldn't do it. But you go to see a show that's, a Broadway show, you're expecting. They switched over the 1st of September. So you figure that they'd have their numbers down pretty darn good by now. Anyways, out of all the NCL ships we've been on, this is probably worst performing ship. But again, it's a new ship, clean ship, um, pretty cool ship. Um, but just they missed the mark on so many things, like the atrium in the middle. There was a bookcase. So anybody down on the one floor that the stage was there, you had to look through a bookcase to see the stage. Um, the comedy hall. There was two big columns blocking the view. Well, they were wide open on the encore. I just, yeah, where this ship was built, hopefully they don't go back because, you know, now don't get me wrong, it was a lot of windows on this one, a lot of like little nooks and cranny just to go hang out, like comfy chairs and watch the sea go by. That was pretty cool. But I don't know. We're kicking around the idea of possibly doing a resort next year. Either down, depending on my health, um, either a resort or out of Galveston. The Viva, whatever NCL ship is out of Galveston right now. I think it's the Viva. It's a year old, I think. And apparently, the staff were telling us that it's supposed to be a beautiful ship. And there's a lot of staff that are, after they're done their contract on the Prima, they're going to try to get over onto the, I think it's Vista. So, yeah. Other than that, it was warm once we got, well, I guess we flew out of here on Friday. Monday, we were at the private island, and it was starting to warm up. 70, 77, I think. 75 to 80 until we hit Jamaica and Grand Cayman, and it was between 80 and 85. And even that, it was like 80 in Cozumel. Again, we've already been out, and it's a pretty long go to shopping. Um, we've been, if we would have been with somebody, we would have probably went out. But you know, there's really one place to eat, Senor Frogs. And yeah, there seemed to be a lot of fishing charters this time in Cozumel. Uh, uh, there was a few, what do they call them? Jesse might know. Reef boats, glass floor boats that they go over the reefs and you can see the fish. There was probably, I counted, I don't know, two of those. Yeah, two or three of those that were around the ship. Um, a lot of plastic in the water this time. Like the sea bloom, that brownish sludge. Um, there was quite a bit of that once we got closer to Florida. Um, and of course, mixed in with the brown sludge was like plastic and garbage. And that's why I did the short about the garbage. And, the one person was like, that's a sea bloom. Yes, but it's the plastic mixed into the sea bloom that I'm talking about. I guess going back and looking at it, you really couldn't see the plastic. But again, it is what it is. But yeah, it was just nice to be away, and it was a lot of fun with Mr. Jim and Lillian, and yeah, we had a very blessed trip. It For the most part, the hotel where Mr. Jim met us up at, where we stayed in Orlando. Oh, Mr. Jim seems to think it's only what, Mr. Jim, 8 years old, something like that, and very very clean. Um, but food, oh my goodness. Hey, hey. Hey, Anfield Road. Um, like I just ordered the. It was breakfast. We really didn't eat. We had a Danish in the room and some coffee before we got off the ship. Um, Other than that, it really. Oh, I ordered a breakfast sandwich. And I ordered just um, an order of brown toast with jam. The omelet, or no, Debbie ordered the omelet. It had to be 2 inches thick, and it was that size. It came with cheese, and she got mushrooms and bacon. Well, it was $1 for the mushrooms and bacon, and I mean it was full. And the prices were amazing. Um, Even whenever we had dinner with Mr. Jim, we had the burger, and the freaking burger was huge. And it still came with a whole bunch of like, uh, well, I got sweet potato fries. I think Mr. Jim did too. And I had asked just a little bit extra crispy. Ooh, they did. It was actually pretty good. But now, I don't know what we're going to do. Goodness gracious. So I'm just waiting for our casino booking guy to call us to see what what deals we have, because we're teetering on silver to gold. So plus there's, I don't know, there's something about credits, and I don't know how it all works. Not my forte. Buddy calls me, tells me how much he wants to charge me, and I either say yes or I say no. And I've got a year to spend it. But yeah, other than that, now I got to wait like a year to travel. My God, not what, 5 months? Like it was with the Encore. And yeah, the uh, the biggest thing was the airlines top notch. Like I said, I was a little bit taken back with not having like human to human contact, but that's how they can have anybody answering texts or computer requests or whatever all over the planet. And you know, like I say, the one thing that I didn't agree with was all the negativity that's on YouTube about it. Because I was a bit, do we, don't we, do we, don't we? But I'm like, Orlando's pretty easy to get a flight, especially right now. And like I said, the ticket agent, right from the ticket agents to the pilots, even the guys that load the plane were awesome to talk to deal with. Treated you like, you know, treated you like you were the only person there. Um, and now that we went first class, well, we ain't gonna not go first class. Oh my goodness. Those seats are awesome. There's a ton more room. And of course, leg room for me is phenomenal. You wouldn't even need like first class, like even one back. You've got, how do they do their seats? Nice, nicest, nice, nicer, and nicest. Nicer is still quite a bit of leg room. Seats maybe 2 inches narrower. But again, the price goes a lot lower. But I heard one lady was, oh, you got to pay for everything. Okay. Again, I saved over $2,000. I'll buy a bag of chips for $2,000. And they were really good because there was a peanut allergy from Orlando home on Monday. Again, top notch. They must have said it at least a dozen times. If you've brought your own food, please. We have an individual on the flight who is deathly allergic to tree nuts, cashews. Um, if your product you had on board has nuts, please don't eat it. And like I say, wasn't a problem. or at least we didn't find it was, anyways. And we got, I don't know, two drinks in first class. You're allowed one alcoholic beverage. Don't drink. So they have, well, they had apple juice, orange juice, cranberry juice. I forget the juices they had. Then they had Sprite, Coke. Okay. I've got. What the hell is wrong with Florida? Do you think I could find Dr. Pepper at a convenience store, but I wasn't going to make Lillian keep darting off to convenience stores? Anywhere we ate, kind of a Dr. Pepper? Nope. On the ship, Dr. Pepper? Nope. I thought like Dr. Pepper flowed down the streets in the US. Like it's like it's done a 180 because you could barely get it in Canada. Now you can get it everywhere here. And I can remember in Florida, you could get Dr. Pepper, like the different flavors and everything, anywhere. Every place we went to eat, Kennedy Space Center, where we went for dinner. Oh my God, that was good. And it really was not that much. Um, with tip, if I'm not mistaken, it was like $150. That was including tip. I had surf and turf. Um, and Lillian and Debbie both, had dinner and drank. Now, none of us drank alcohol, but um, yeah, it was $150, and that included the tip. It was amazing. Oh my goodness, this place was good. Um, we had to wait about 20 minutes to get in. Now, whenever we called, um, Lillian was at the hotel with us. And I said, send your daughter and son-in-law a message and see good place to eat around here. They live right there. So, yeah, this place came up as one of the ones, so we called it. No, we don't do reservations, but there's nobody here. We jumped in Lillian's car, and by the time we got back or got over there, yeah, there was a lineup. And they're like, well, do you want to go somewhere else? I'm like, and what? Drive 20 minutes to somewhere else and then wait there? No. Because I could see that they actually had lobster from up here. It was East Coast lobster. So, yeah, other than that, we had just a fabulous time. And like I say, I will have a ton of videos coming up, and I may have an announcement tomorrow night about a video. I'm not sure. I'm trying to get it done. Um, but there's a lot of, yeah, I got to go downstairs and work off of the computer because whew, it's, I have to pull it off the GoPro. Um, I got quite a bit on my phone and I have quite a bit on my GoPro. And like I say, I was going to do some lives and then I'm like, nope. This is my wifey and I's time. Normally I do lives and whatever, but this was just our time. Refreshed, rejuvenated, and all that good stuff. So, anyways, I do think this is, I want to get at least the one um, video done this afternoon to go out sometime over the weekend. But, anyways, I am going to call it a day. Don't forget, you got Johnny and Christine and Tara and Jason and Dale and Nana and Eric and Monica, and you got Thursday night crew tonight. And then tomorrow night you have, well, the Friday night tribe. You got Gail, Jan, myself, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the lazy Saturday. So mark your calendar. Make sure supper's done early Saturday that you can sit there and you can win. Because Lord knows Lisa's going to give everything away but the kitchen sink. One of these days, Jesse's going to come up on the wheel. But I got to say, I had to do a second look whenever I went downstairs because I thought Jesse was sitting at the table, not Mr. Jim. It was, let's just say, I knew who it was as soon as I laid my eyes on him. And I've only seen him once. But once you hit the age of around, we'll just say around 60. And I know what Jesse is, and I know what Mr. Jim is. So that's why I'm saying around 60. You got to do the white hair. Lord, if I can make it to 60, I'm going to have to get more of this white stuff. But, anyways, guys, take care. God bless. And we will see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Toodles!